Hello and welcome. My name is Brendan Dunuwila, and I'm a financial advisor with Voya Financial, one of the 4 investment companies approved by SUNY for where an employee can invest their employer retirement plan money. Unlike many employers where there may just be a single retirement plan provided, SUNY offers multiple options, and the employees have some choices to make. While I certainly view more retirement choices as beneficial, it can tend to get a bit confusing. So this presentation is designed to explain the basics of all of these plans. If you already have these plans, you'll gain a better grasp of how they work. If you're a recent hire and you're still making some decisions, hopefully you can walk away with a better understanding of the plan characteristics and make a more informed decision about what might work best for you. We'll walk through the various retirement plans available, from the primary plans, which the employer helps to fund, to the supplemental plans, which are voluntary and they're funded solely by you, the employee. We'll talk about how to make elections and changes, as well as the assistance that us financial advisors are here to offer you. In this presentation, I'm going to focus specifically on Tier 6 rules, which are applicable to those employees hired in or after April 2012. If you were a New York State employee prior to that point, your plan rules might be a bit different than what we'll discuss in this presentation, so please don't hesitate to reach out to me directly for clarity on the rules of your tier. Let's start with an overview of all the plans available. SUNY offers 2 different primary retirement plans, and an employee has one or the other, but not both. In my opinion, both of these plans are extremely generous compared to what you'll tend to see in the private sector, but they are very different from one another. Those of you in the CSEA union or PEF union, your primary plan will be the Employees Retirement System, a defined benefit pension plan commonly referred to as ERS. For those in UUP or Management Confidential, upon being hired, you're able to choose whether you want the ERS pension plan or you want your primary plan to be the optional retirement program, which is commonly referred to as ORP. If you're a recent hire and you're in a group that's able to decide which primary plan to select, know that you have 30 days to decide from your date of hire. If no election is made within that 30-day window, you'll be defaulted into the ERS pension plan. Regardless of which primary plan you have, ERS or ORP, in Tier 6, your contribution to that plan will be a fixed percentage based on your salary. So to enable an employee to contribute more towards retirement, there are supplemental plans available at SUNY as well. The voluntary 403B and the New York State Deferred Compensation Plan, which is a 457 plan. You can have one or both of these plans. So many employees at a SUNY institution actually have multiple plans, one primary plan, and then 1 or even 2 supplemental plans. We're now going to spend a little bit of time discussing each of these plans in detail. And as I do so, please keep in mind that this is designed to be a general overview, and there could certainly be elements to your individual circumstances that result in differences in the rules or the options that may apply to you. So it's always a good idea to check with your HR office or with one of the approved financial advisors like myself about your exact situation. SUNY also has a really helpful section on their website that dives into a lot of the details on these plans, which you can find at www.suny.edu/retirement. Let's start by discussing the specifics of each of the plans, starting with the primary plans and the ERS pension. This plan provides a guaranteed monthly check from the time that you retire for the rest of your life. The amount of that check depends on 2 factors. First, final average salary, and second, years of service with the state. For Tier 6 employees, again, those hired in or after April 2012, final average salary is defined by your highest 5 consecutive years of earnings. So not necessarily your last 5 years, although for many people that is what ends up being the case. It's your highest 5 consecutive years of earnings, which they then average together to come up with your final average salary figure. To determine how much of that final average salary amount the state will pay you each year in retirement, that's based upon your years of service that you work. For each year that you work, there's a percentage associated with it. When you separate from service or retire, the state then sums up those years and the corresponding percentages, and one day they'll pay you that total percentage of whatever your final average salary was. So to provide you with a couple of reference points, if you leave after 10 years of service, your annual pension payment will equate to slightly over 16% of your final average salary. After 20 years of service, it would be about 35%, and at 30 years, it would be approximately 55%. There are factors that can affect these percentages, like if you want to ensure that some of the money continues to a beneficiary or a spouse if you predecease them, but those figures should hopefully give you a rough idea as to the value of the pension over time. So essentially, the more money you make and the longer you work for New York State, the more your pension check will be in retirement. Now, let's hit on some more of the important details to the plan. First, there's a 10-year vesting period to the ERS pension plan in Tier 6. That means that you need to work for the state for at least 10 years before you would be entitled to any monthly check eventually. If you left the state before that, you would still be entitled to at least the contributions that you added over the years, so you won't lose those, but you do need 10 years of service in order to eventually one day get that lifetime pension payment. Additionally, and this is unique to Tier 6, you need to be at least 63 years old in order to draw your pension without a reduction, regardless of how many years of service you have. And those reductions are pretty steep, so it's really important to understand this provision. And finally, you, the employee, are mandated to contribute to this plan. The contribution that you make is a fixed percentage. You can't put more or less in, and that percentage that you contribute is contingent upon your income at SUNY. As you'll see from this chart, the employee contribution will range somewhere between 3% to 6% depending on where your income falls. This will be taken from each paycheck before taxes, and if your income changes over the years and crosses through one of these income thresholds, SUNY will modify your contribution. Now let's turn our attention to the other primary retirement plan offered at SUNY, the Optional Retirement Program, which I'll call ORP. ORP is an investment-based plan where the employee puts in money into an account before taxes, the employer contributes money to that same account, and all those contributions get invested. Ultimately, at retirement, you'll then have a lump sum of money, which you can draw from at your discretion. You can establish systematic withdrawals monthly, quarterly, or annually, or you could turn it into a lifetime guaranteed income stream. Just like we discussed with ERS, the contributions that you, the employee, make to ORP are mandated and a fixed percentage, which ranges between 3 to 6% based on your income. What SUNY contributes into your account depends on how long you've worked for the state. They contribute 8% during your first 7 years. Then in year 8 and beyond, SUNY contributes 10%. Your contribution will be drawn right from your initial paychecks, but you won't actually see this money deposited into your retirement account until you satisfy the vesting period. In the ORP plan, there's a 366-day vesting period. So if you left SUNY after a year and a day, you would be entitled to the entire account value, your contributions, SUNY's contributions, and any investment growth. One notable exception to this 366-day waiting period is if you had a fully vested old retirement plan with employer contributions that is held with one of the 4 SUNY-approved investment companies. The 4 approved companies are AIG, Fidelity, TIAA, and Voya. You'll need to be able to prove that you have an account with one of these companies and that it did contain fully vested employer contributions, but then you'd be entitled to have this 366-day vesting period waived. You can choose to have your ORP money invested with any of the 4 approved companies. You can even have an account with multiple of the 4, or change among them. The rules to the ORP plan are the same across all 4 companies, but the fund options and the financial advisors associated with them are unique to each company. With ORP, the value of your lump sum of money at retirement will be contingent upon, first, the contributions that you and SUNY add over the years, as well as how the investments perform. The investment allocation is something that you, the employee, has control over, and there are many different investment options available within the plan. So your ORP account can be positioned aggressively with significant stock market exposure, conservatively with bond funds and fixed interest-bearing investments, or diversified across aggressive funds and conservative funds to balance the risk. Helping you understand, select, and modify the investment options over the years is one of the big roles that we as financial advisors can play. Each of you has a different timeline, a different tolerance for investment risk, and different family situations, so myself and the other approved financial advisors are here to help ensure that your investment allocation is consistent with your personal situation. Within the Voya plan, There are funds from many different investment companies available, which I think helps to build a more robust and diversified portfolio. For more details on these fund options, don't hesitate to reach out to me directly or visit the site suny.bereadytoretire.com. Now let's do a quick review of these two primary plans. The two primary plans offered at SUNY are ERS and ORP. An employee can have one or the other. If you're in the CSEA union or the PEF union, your primary plan is the ERS pension. If you're in UUP or Management Confidential, you can choose between ERS or ORP. You have 30 days to make that decision, and once one is selected, you can't change your primary plan down the road. ERS takes 10 years to be vested in the plan, or in other words, to be entitled to the benefit one day. The monthly retirement check will be guaranteed for life, and the amount will be a fixed payment based upon your final average salary and the years of service you work with New York State. Your contributions are going to be a mandatory percentage, ranging between 3 to 6% depending on your salary, and you'll be entitled to draw this monthly check after separating from service or retiring. You'll need to be at least 55, but I would strongly encourage those in Tier 6 to wait until at least age 63 so that no reduction will be applied to that monthly check. If you were to need money while still working, you can borrow from this plan. As with any loan, you want to understand the terms and the pros and cons before pursuing, but it's good to know that the option is there. With ORP, there's normally a 366-day vesting period, but keep in mind that exception that if you have an old employer plan with fully vested employer contributions with one of SUNY's 4 approved investment providers, they'll waive that 366-day waiting period. Your benefit one day in ORP is based largely on investment performance. The contributions will be a mandatory 3 to 6% depending on your salary. SUNY will contribute 8% or 10% depending on how long you've worked for the state. You can withdraw this money after separating from service or retiring. Just keep in mind that for those withdrawals to be penalty-free, you would have to be 55 or older upon separation. Loans are also available from your ORP plan should you need to take advantage of that. Regardless of which of the two primary plans you have, ERS or ORP, your contribution will be a fixed percentage based on your salary. So for those who want to contribute more towards retirement, the way you do so at SUNY is by starting a supplemental retirement plan. Based on the many employees that I've worked with as they've retired from SUNY over the years, I would say that those who are the most prepared financially to meet their retirement needs have a supplemental plan in addition to their primary plan. There are two supplemental plans offered by SUNY. I'm going to start by discussing the voluntary 403B plan. Regardless of what union you're in or what primary plan you may have, you can enroll in the voluntary 403B plan. This plan can be started at any time. There's no open enrollment period. You decide what you would like to contribute to the plan up to IRS limits, and you can increase, decrease, or stop that contribution anytime you would like. The contributions into this plan are made through payroll deduction, and you can decide what tax structure to take advantage of, pre-tax, Roth, or split your contributions to take advantage of both. If you're unsure of what these options mean or what option might be best for your situation, don't hesitate to contact me. Because the employer contributes to your retirement through the primary plan, there is no employer matching within the SUNY 403B. It is solely funded by the employee contributions. The advantage of this, however, is that you're fully vested in this account right from day one. And for those of you who have old retirement plans like 401ks or 403bs from past employers, they can be rolled into the SUNY 403b tax-free. Finally, unlike the primary plans where you can't touch them until you separate from service, in the SUNY voluntary 403b, you can take penalty-free withdrawals at age 59 and a half and older, even if you're still working. What you accumulate for retirement within the 403b plan will be based on 1, how much you contribute over the years, and 2, how the investments perform. Your 403b plan can be opened with any of the 4 approved SUNY providers, AIG, Fidelity, TIAA, or Voya. You can even have a SUNY 403b with several of these 4 companies or change among them. Within the Voya plan, you have over 50 fund options from which a diversified portfolio can be created. There are conservative funds, aggressive stock funds, and of course you can allocate across multiple funds to balance the risk. Assisting SUNY employees with their investments is a major role that I play as a Voya financial advisor, so if the investment selection isn't really your forte, don't hesitate to reach out. Also, if you're interested in seeing more details on the investment options within the Voya plan, you can visit suny.bereadytoretire.com. In addition to the voluntary 403(b) at SUNY, employees also have access to another supplemental retirement plan called the New York State Deferred Compensation Plan. You'll also hear it referred to as deferred comp. If an employee wanted to, they could have both the 403(b) and deferred comp. The contribution limits actually don't coordinate between these two plans, meaning that SUNY employees who really want to save a large amount of money each year towards retirement can benefit greatly from having access to both plans. I would say the similarities between the voluntary 403(b) and the deferred comp plan are more than the differences, as you'll see on the slide here. One notable difference is that the distributions cannot be made from deferred comp until separation from service, unlike the 403(b) where you could take a penalty-free withdrawal at age 59 and a half even if you're still working. The New York State Deferred Comp Plan is handled by the state, so it's not opened at one of the 4 investment companies approved by SUNY. If you'd like more information on deferred comp, their website is www.nysdcp.com. Okay, we've covered an overview of how all the various SUNY plans work. Let's discuss how to enroll in them, and in the case of the voluntary 403(b), how you make changes to your contributions over time. SUNY has a website that deals specifically with making elections and changes to your retirement plans. The site is www.retirementatwork.org/SUNY. Once you create a login to this site, those making a selection as to which primary plan they want between ERS and ORP can do so through the section highlighted. For those who want to open the voluntary 403(b) plan, you do so through the option on the right, Enroll in the Tax-Deferred Annuity Plan, which is another name for the SUNY 403(b). And once you have these plans up and running, you can make changes by selecting the option in the center, I'm enrolled and need to manage my account. Finally, I completely understand that the idea of keeping track of all these plan rules and making all these investment decisions can seem daunting. And that's why SUNY offers access to approved financial advisors like myself who are here to help you without charging fees for consultations. I'm here to help you understand these plans and enroll in them. I can help position the investments to be consistent with your retirement goals, assist you with rolling over your old retirement plans, and create retirement projections for you to better understand what track you're on. Finally, we keep in touch with you on an ongoing basis to ensure that you remain on track over time for retirement. I meet with people on campus, at my office in Fayetteville, and virtually over Zoom or the phone. So if I can help in any way, please don't hesitate to reach out. I hope that you found this information informative. Thank you so much for your time and take care.